When I think of the golden age of makeup, my mind directly goes to 2016 and the glorious over-the-top makeup that most of us slayed even if we had nowhere to go. And then I think of my favorite brands from that era, which brings me to Urban Decay, my first ever makeup brand crush. If you were keeping up with the makeup industry and social media back in 2010s, there's no way that you've missed out on Urban Decay. Especially if you were a rebellious teen like me at the time, Urban Decay was probably the it brand for you. The brand that all the cool kids had. It was bold, rich, bright, and edgy. Oh, using those adjectives for Urban Decay sounds so weird right now, knowing the modern face of the company, which is anything but bold, rich, bright, and edgy. How did this happen, though? How did Urban Decay move from being that cool big sister that you were aspiring to be like, to a boring auntie with the most bland 9-to-5 job? In today's video, I'll take you on a journey in time, exploring the shift in our consumption habits, makeup trends, and the impact of social media on brand prestige. Buckle up, folks. This is Urban Decay's story.
Painting the sky and adding to our chemistry.
I know that many of us assume that Urban Decay is the product of 2010s, but in reality, the brand was founded 20 years prior to the 2010s. It was founded in 1996 by Sandy Lerner, David Soward, Wendy Zonmier, Patricia Holmes, and Craig Dubitsky. Their success was almost imminent, as the brand gained popularity for its vibrant and bold color palettes, as well as its commitment to cruelty-free beauty products. At first, the brand started with lipsticks and nail polishes. Especially the colors they chose for their collections were quite striking for the time. They had that grungy aesthetic, with lots of purples, greens, and even blacks, rather than the neutral or pinkish colors that we tend to see in most brands. They immediately managed to stand out from all the other brands, presenting them as the new kid on the block who's here to set the trends. Their name choices for their products were also quite eye-catching, as were All-Nighter and Perversion, which might sound basic today, but were quite scandalous at the time. The launch that made the brand #1 in the sector was, however, their release of the original Naked palette back in 2010. That was the turning point for the brand, making it a household name for every makeup lover out there, including me. I remember wanting that palette so much that I was saving up my weekly allowance, cutting from my basic necessities. That's how much I adored this palette. Interestingly, though, when I look at that original palette from today, I realized that it was the point that the brand was moving away from that edgy style and embracing a more neutral stance in general. Still, there was no denying that the palette was a huge success and became very influential in shaping the trajectory of the makeup industry for almost a decade, suggesting that the makeup palettes with huge selections were in. The palette became so popular that in 2015, a Naked palette was being sold every 6 seconds, which is a success that almost no makeup brand can even dream of today. Smelling the success, L'Oreal has come to the scene in 2012, as it does for the most successful makeup brands, and bought Urban Decay. And to be honest, I feel like that was the point that solidified Urban Decay's stark shift from edgy to boring. Still, it took almost yet another decade for us to realize that Urban Decay is no longer what it used to be. During that time, the brand has done its best to capitalize on the success of the Naked palette, turning it into a huge collection with a new palette launched every year, as well as a bunch of other products such as Naked foundations and concealers. They also released some of their most iconic products to this day, including the All-Nighter Setting Spray, which is still a favorite of mine, and the Eyeshadow Primer Potion. In the meantime, the color selection of their famous Vice lipsticks started to shift from purples and blacks to pinks and nudes. So while the brand was enjoying its peak period with certain iconic products that became staples in many makeup user stashes, it was also losing its original premise. Since the trend was leaning towards nude color palettes on every single part of the face, Urban Decay decided that it was time to be like everyone else, so that it could address everyone rather than just the edgy kid. On the one hand, this was a smart marketing strategy. After all, the more people you attract, the more products you would sell. On the other hand, attracting more people and being like most people would cause you to lose your own identity, your own essence that makes you special. which I believe is exactly what happened to Urban Decay. On top of losing its identity, the brand also couldn't keep up with the change of times that is mostly marked by the rise of TikTok. During YouTube's epic makeup community era, when all influencers were coming up with collaborations that were being sold out in seconds, Urban Decay was thriving. The brand is the perfect match for that type of content and that type of influencer economy. However, as that trend started to fall and was replaced by TikTok and its brand new influencers with a brand new setting of trends, Urban Decay started to phase out. Basically, the brand couldn't fit into the Gen Z lifestyle and got excluded from the zeitgeist, which is the worst thing that can happen to any brand ever. First of all, Urban Decay stuck with the same products for decades. Yes, their naked palettes were the it products back in the day, but today people need more from their favorite brands rather than seeing the same palette name and format over and over again. And yeah, changing colors a little bit every single year and coming up with the supposed new versions of the same format doesn't make the cut. Don't get me wrong, as I said before, I still love their all-nighter setting spray and believe that it's basically unparalleled in the sector. However, having a single product that works for you for decades is not enough to survive as a brand in most cases. At this point, unless someone is newly getting into makeup, everyone has their makeup basics at hand. What does this mean? This means that brands need to go beyond the basics and surprise people with fun and innovative products to stand out. Urban Decay has simply failed in that department, and it hasn't come up with a single exciting launch in almost years. I can hear you now crying at the screen, reminding me of the space cowboy eyeshadow that went viral on TikTok for a brief time. And you'd be right. Yes, this was a relatively new product that Urban Decay launched and went viral among both the millennials and Gen Z. To me, however, this shows that there's still a slight chance for Urban Decay to make a comeback with possibly a rebranding. I doubt that a single product launch that went viral for like 10 minutes online would be enough for that. The thing is, we're at the age of fast consumption now. The launches are no longer as influential as they were back in 2012. So you need to keep coming up with new launches that'll keep people's interests alive at all times. I know it's a tough task, but it's the reality of our modern-day makeup market. Besides, when I check on their website, I see that their setting spray, eyeliner pencils, and foundation are still the best sellers. In fact, it's difficult to have their newer launches on the bestsellers list, proving that their new launches don't hit the people as much as their iconic products, which is a major issue. For instance, we know that over the past couple of years, we've been seeing the rise of cream products for basically every part of the face. We've seen cream or liquid blushes, highlighters, bronzers, more than we have ever seen them before. What has been Urban Decay's response to this trend, though? Well, they released their Hydromaniac liquid blush, which looks great, but I hadn't even heard of it until I sat down to prepare for this video. When I take a look at it, though, I realized that it was being forgotten as soon as it was launched. It's absurd to have only one blush product in your entire resume. It's absurd to see you trying to keep up with trends with a single product launch and hoping for the best. This brings me to the end of the video. It may sound a bit harsh towards Urban Decay, but yeah, I'm probably quite harsh towards the brand. But it's simply because I loved the brand so much back in the day that seeing it struggle to survive this much truly hurt me. I still have a huge nostalgia bond with Urban Decay, and I would love it to make a huge comeback and surprise us all. That being said, realistically, I feel like it's a matter of time before Urban Decay shuts down, as we know that it has already left certain countries and turned off its website in those places, which is truly upsetting. But what do you think? What do you think Urban Decay must embrace to survive this decay? Also, would you like me to cover other iconic makeup brands that would not survive TikTok? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. Thank you for watching. See you soon.